So let's look at the outside first of all, bearing in mind that when we drive up and down, this is what we're driving along. So wear and tear on the truck itself, on the paintwork, has been the most disappointment, but there's nothing we can do about that because we are driving through roads, a road which is heavily grown on both sides, have heavy undergrowth on both sides, which as soon as it starts really heavily raining, and the rain is often torrential here, then it starts to push all of the undergrowth in towards the road, which narrows it, and that means that the truck takes the brunt of it. Now, I haven't cleaned it today, but believe it or not, that is how it looks after one day. I cleaned it yesterday, I think it was. There is a place where Beth is spending a lot of time down near the house that's being built in Burgos, and there's a place that you can wash. So not the best facility, but it does have a pressure washer, and so you're able to at least wash the truck. It doesn't get polished, but you can see this is one day, so you can see where the mud comes up, and as I say, one day. Now, if I'd left it as it was, which hadn't been washed for maybe 2 or 3 days, you would be amazed at the collection of mud on the underneath, as you can see here, look. And the mud gets compacted into the grooves here, look. And then when we turn around, I leave most of it on the ground. I keep my, even though I'm not doing much biking these days because of a back injury, I keep my rack on there, but you can see the amount of dust. It's not actually raining today, and so it wasn't muddy, but this was from yesterday, and there are various places, about 3 or 4, maybe 5, where the water never drains away. So that's where all of this comes from. The truck can be quite clean, but then it goes through one of these pools, and the mud gets thrown up as soon as we drive along. From the typhoon, there are various little dings, not anything really severe, not enough to drive you crazy and have it repaired, but there's a few. There's one here, look, which is a terrific shame, but what can we do? I actually really love this truck. It's such a pleasure to drive. 17-inch wheels and huge tyres. It's got independent suspension all round, disc brakes all round, and the back suspension is computerized. It can be changed. In fact, the suspension as a whole, I think, is actually affected or controlled by the computer, which is obviously on the dash. But you can see that this is not your usual truck suspension. It's not leaf springs, so quite a big difference. Blackface, what are you doing here? Can you go away? Can you go away? Not right now. Okay, not right now. The back tyre was quite a chore to be able to do that at first, but as with all things, you get used to it and you learn how to do it. So I now have the technique. I keep a big piece of iron tubing there, which I use, and these blocks are to make sure that I'm going to be able to get, if there is a flat tire, I'm going to be able to get the truck high enough to take the wheel off. This wheel and tire, they weigh roughly, I'm making a guess, but they weigh roughly about 70 to 80 pounds. Quite a lot. So we have stuff here, look, cannot be avoided, and scratches along here. I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a fine loads of scratches which will never come out. I'm actually thinking that when we go to Tagbilaran the next time, if we have time, I'll put it in to be washed at this particular place near the Ford dealership, and they did such a beautiful job of it last time, and they offer a polishing treatment. They polish it as well, and they really do a nice job of detailing it. So I'm thinking that I will put it in and have that done. Now unfortunately we've driven across a patch of road which has had new white line put on, and we've gone across, and there's a few spots, you can't see them now because of the mud, but there's a few spots in here of white paint that have flicked up, and we were never able to get off. Now one of our subs who we visited with recently said that WD-40 and a gentle touch will get those off, so still haven't tried that. Now this is actually a bone stock Raptor. They do, well, maybe not bone stock, because we did have these pieces fitting. Now in dollars they would not amount to a huge amount of money, but to us in pesos, which is in thousands, it did seem to us to be a lot of money. This, just the top, which protects the actual top of the truck, which so easily gets damaged, I know this from experience. I think that was about 8,000 pesos. So I fitted this up. I just had, this was for an ordinary saloon, an ordinary car, and I just had this bent so that it could be permanently fixed on there, and that worked out quite well. So that's the outside, and this is my friend Red. Are you a little bit short on having some attention, Red? Are you? And this is Basha. Basha used to be the top dog until, yes, I know, I love you too. She used to be the top dog and quite a tough lady before the two big dogs, Pogie and Red, came along. Right, the inside. So, the back, surprisingly, I would have thought that the back would have had more punishment, but then it doesn't get used quite as much. These are my locks, which I keep inside. That's for when I go out with the bike. This I found to be a little bit inconvenient, because it so easily slips down the back there, especially because this back seat pulls up. Let me see if I can do it while holding the camera. There's a pull here. There. So that pull, there we go. Now when you pull it up, those safety belts actually get messed up. Now here, there's a little bit of storage. There's not much in this truck, I can tell you. There's a bit of storage there. The rest goes behind the seat. Let me show you the other side. All of the stuff that you need to change the tire go behind the seat. Where is it? Yeah. Now you can see the problem there, can't you? As soon as you start pulling these seats about, those seat belts, they disappear. And that's I got a pump there. I've got the wrench there, and I've got this. This is a little attachment that they supply with an ordinary jack, and that helps you to get the truck off the ground. So the back is looking quite nice. All inside, I don't know whether you can see the headliner, all of that is all very nice. So here you've got a 12 volt supply, and then you've got an ordinary plug that you can put you can charge on an ordinary plug. That's the same charger for my phone that I use in the house. Once again, I've got stuff. This is the ladies who keep this. I keep stuff under the seat. I got a towing strap there, all nicely packed up inside its own case. I recently did take this out, these seats, these carpets out, and I pressure washed them when I did the truck. And then yesterday they sat in the back and dried out. Beth's side of the thing, I got some bananas today, as you can see. She keeps at least one pair of slippers in here. I didn't get time to actually clean this out and need to get that done soon. Now, this is the disappointment. It's about the only one that I can think, but the seats didn't take the wear too much. You can see there's some tears, and that is just wear, and no pun intended, wear and tear. Now Beth has gone ahead without telling me. I would have liked to have had some input on it, but she said that she's ordered some seat covers, which maybe they'll look okay, maybe they're not. I don't really see many seat covers that I like that much. Now, they didn't make this seat electric. The other driver's seat, which I'll show you in a second, that's electric. And one of the things that did appeal to us as a package thing was the way that they've really individualized this, the Raptor being really something that is special, and it is special. So here you got, now this is the place where people keep too much, and that's not necessary, it's not needed, but we've got stuff in there that we'll never look at again, and that's there. Plenty of room for the seat to go back, and nice speakers. It has a nice sound system, which I get great pleasure out of. Watch out, puppy. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on in. Are you lovely? Look at you. Give me that tail. Give it to me. Love my dogs. So coming around, so obviously you can control all of the windows here, and very important button there is the one that stops people from using the windows. Because when you've got the AC on and the kids unknown to you have opened the back windows, it's a bit counterproductive. So what are we looking at here? I'm going to have to start. It's a keyless start. Just press this, but you must have your foot on the brake. Lots of warnings for the doors. All of the doors have to be, let's see, get this looking right. Now there's things on here that actually, honestly, I've never really used. You have got the, as I said, the suspension is computerized, and if you're looking there, now you see that it says on there terrain modes. Now got to press again, it will only stay up there for a little while. Now terrain modes. Now the first one is normal for what it will be on if you don't do anything. It will be on that for just normal highway driving. And then the next one, which you get by this, you push on this, look here, back on, you push on it and it will take you to sport. And sport mode is where you would probably go into manual, and that gives you a different kind of ride, a little bit stiffer, I would have thought. And then the next one is grass, gravel, snow, select four-wheel drive to engage. So it doesn't engage in that particular driving mode unless you go into four-wheel drive. Okay, so the next one, oops, right, the next one, mud and sand, select, select four-wheel drive in order to do that. See, half of the stuff I've never even looked at. Alright, the next one, Baja. On the beach, I guess, is where you are for Baja. And the final one, rock, going over rocks, give it a different kind of handling. You have to go into four-wheel drive in order to engage that too. So that's that, but there's all kinds of other stuff which to be honest really doesn't interest me. So look, there's terrain modes, there's trip 2, I'm just going back to the same thing. Let me see, you can see how often I come in on this. So there's that. Now that actually it gives you your miles per gallon, and that was trip 2. So miles per gallon, how many miles we went, 108 miles, and our average was 24.6 miles per gallon. So you've got that, and you've got trip 1, trip 2, trip 3, so you can actually calculate on say going out somewhere and you wanted to know to and fro, you could find all of that information on there. Rev Counter, it's ticking over right now. It's a diesel, and surprisingly it's very, very quiet, and it's at 750 revs per minute. Now 750 per minute is what I call a tick over. Americans call it idle, and so if it idles at 750 is what's calculated to be enough to hold you on a hill without having to start juggling the gas against the brakes. And then on this side, well, I'm not going anymore on this side here. I can't even see that in this light, so I think that this is all stuff for telephone and all stuff here that you can program into the computer and get a readout here. See, here you've got, this is my favorite button, is the audio, and then climate, which obviously is the AC, phone, and you can add a phone, you can connect it to Oppo, which we have Oppos, and that will connect it so that when you get a telephone call, it actually comes up on the screen. Now navigation, this is what Beth says is always wrong, and that's why when we went to Tagbilaran once, by disregarding the GPS, we ended up in the city dump. I mean, literally the city dump. No, so apps, you get to connect a device, find mobile apps and so on. Settings should be self-explanatory, so you can do all of that. Now this you come over, and this allows you to change what? See, once you can look at what is the average fuel. You can look at trip 2, various aspects of trip 2. Speed, well, we're not going anywhere right now. Distance to empty. Distance to empty is the one that I use all the time, so that I know how much further I've got, instead of having to try and calculate it on that fuel gauge. So you have this control for that. As you can see, once you get what you want, obviously press OK, and that will keep that there. The lights take a little bit of getting used to, because it's on a wheel. So now it's on, all lights are off right now, and then you go over and it gives you the various choices. Now here's something that we didn't realize. We didn't understand this when we first got it. It took us a while to work this out, because we never looked at the manual, which is as thick as 2 average Bibles. It has a button in the middle, and this button comes out. Now, depending on how you turn the button, turning it clockwise, turn it back, and that will affect the level of the beam. So when you're on dip, you can actually make it a higher dip or a lower dip, or all variations in between, and that's what you would use. And then of course when you got it fixed, you just put the button on. There's a few things here that I have never bothered to understand. This is because when you need some of these buttons, this shows you how very low tech I am. I'm tech disabled, if you like, or tech challenged. And some of these buttons, they don't stop me from going anywhere, so that's it. This I searched for a long time for the way to turn on the heated rear windshield. Still don't know whether it's pushed on or off at the moment. That one there, I'm sure that people with nice cars in the US will know all of these controls. This one, that's for actually taking in and back out. So if when you park you're in a narrow place and you want to make sure that no one's going to start braking on the rear view mirror, then you can use that. It's a 10 speed transmission, automatic, but it's not just automatic, it's automatic and manual. And when you go into the manual, these paddles, shall we call them, on the side are so that you can pull, and this will change gear. This with the minus changing down, this with the plus changing up. Some of the things I don't like, if I was to complain, which is almost like a terrible thing for me because I love this truck so much, but this is the airbag, and apparently I'm not quite sure whether it's 3 or 5 airbags, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 in the back. Not quite sure whether the airbags are in the back as well. But anyway, as you can see, the vehicle is on. Driver door is ajar. Well, I'm not sure whether you can see that or not. But the only thing I don't like is that it's a center console for the horn, and it's so much more convenient to just toot the horn on a cheap old car. And here you never, if you just want to, as Beth always describes it, beep beep, if you just want to beep beep somebody, you don't want to be pressing down on this thing. It's kind of like a foreign body language. If you're just trying to just do a little toot for saying thank you, for saying hello, for saying whatever, you don't always want to have that loud horn. So that's something that I would love to see changed. All of this, these are all the controls for obviously volume, tuning for the radio. This is the CD player, which is very good. I'm not a connoisseur of sound systems, and I've listened to people before who are absolute authorities on what constitutes a good stereo or not, and they lose me when they start getting too technical. I go by my ear, and this for how quiet. Once again, just remind you that the engine is actually going at the moment, and you can hardly hear it. So you can play music, and this particular stereo in this car it can be loud enough and yet still comfortable with the speaker arrangement that they have. It's still comfortable enough to be able to drown out the horn. So when it's going loud for me, see, so at volume 20, that's loud. You've got to love the music to be having it that loud. so yeah, that's right. So it's got nice things here. There's for here, the women love to have this. This practically is on all the time on Beth's side. One thing that I am surprised at is in the UK we always used to have a mirror, which if someone was travelling behind you that didn't understand how bright the beam, the headlight can be on his own vehicle, it would be blinding you, and you'd be able to flick this and it would angle it down, and then you would not be dazzled because you'd be looking at the rearview mirror from a different way. So it's got nice handles. You need these handles to get into this truck. Got another one here, has the same in the back. And now we're on to, so there's the AC, and it's very efficient. When Talik and BB get into, and even Nanai, they'll ask me to turn the AC off. So they turn the AC off and they have all the windows open, and that's what's comfortable for them. But then bearing in mind that they haven't been used to having air conditioning in their lives. And when we first started going into restaurants, we took Talik and Bibi into the Vidasto restaurant, which has not particularly efficient AC, but comfortable enough. They would eat their meal as fast as they could, and then they'd go and sit outside. There's a little seated area outside of Vidasto because it was too cold. Go figure. So there we are. You can go on to drive, which is what I go on to. There's the two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and that's four-wheel high and four-wheel low. I usually use it on 4H. And then this here, this is the button that I use the most, and you'll see it come up there. Hill descent control ready. And we do use that. See, now I just turned it off. And we do use that, and what it does is it applies the brakes for you. You set the speed, and the last speed that you are going at, it will hold it at that speed. But of course, it's not for road. It's not for out on the highway use. And as soon as you go out on the highway, it switches itself off at about 25 miles an hour. Everything else, handbrake. There's not actually a lot of space in this truck. It seems to be much narrower than other trucks that we've looked at, but it is just nice. And such a pleasure for me as the driver, which is important. This I didn't go into with you. This is the cruise control. Now, strange as it may seem, a lot of these I don't actually see. During the day, well, we don't use cruise control. There isn't a road in Bohol where you could use cruise control. And as far as using the Sport, my friend Edgar uses the Sport attachment, or the choice on the transmission, and he uses the Sport, and then he's able to change gear himself. Obviously he doesn't have to operate a clutch, but he can change gear himself, and he can drive more aggressively. Also, he has had an attachment fitted to the motor, which I'm going to show you in a moment. The motor is twin turbo, and it has that turbo hesitation with the turbo, is that there's just a very pause. If you floor it to get yourself out of trouble or into it, it will pause for maybe 1 second, and then it speeds. But until that, you're left with your face hanging out sometimes. Well, let's see if I can get this up. I have to put you in there for a moment. So, there's the engine. As you can see, pretty dusty. The only thing that we've replaced on this vehicle, I think I've got you upside down. Yeah, there we go. Sorry to those who start telling me that they're feeling seasick, but the only thing that we've replaced, when we first took the vehicle in for the very first checkup and service, apparently they replaced one of the engine parts. It's a diesel, so there's a fuel injection thing that they had, and they had to replace that. But it's beautiful sounding engine. I don't know why I switched it off. Once again, you have to press the brake, press the Right, where am I? Now, that's incredible for a diesel. In my experience, that is. And like I said, it's very quiet inside. And that's with the door open. Now we did, I'm forgetting, we replaced that fuel injector, or Ford did without us. They told us that they'd done it under the warranty. Didn't cost us anything, I don't think. The wheels and tyres. The tyres are very expensive for us that is, okay. So not in dollars. It wouldn't seem so in dollars. Or maybe I'm wrong. See, look how the mud gets caked on there. So these tyres cost us 8,000 pesos each. We got two, and then we saved up and we got two more. So we've replaced all of the tyres. But if we had gone ahead and got the original tyres that were on there, which were Goodyear, it would have cost us double that. So 15. I think that the new tyre, which was like the original, was about between 15 and 16,000 pesos. That would have been an enormous outlay for us. And then we went into this place to have a puncture fitted, a flat tyre, and we inquired what they could do the tyre for, and they surprised us by saying 8,000 each. So that was it. So what have we done? Let me see. It's done about under 40,000 miles. Never quite sure with this whether it's 40,000 miles or whether it's kilometers, but what the hell. 40,000, and I don't know how much we've spent on gas. As you can see, it does pretty well on gas. Tinted windows we paid extra for, and this thing going all around, we paid extra for that too, but nothing else. You can get a tow hitch, which we've considered, but we've never used this as a pickup, if you're with me. We've used it more as a car, as private transport, so that we could keep it nice. And it's really actually very low mileage, but it does have to do the four-wheel drive thing every time, and that has its issues. And the mud is the main issue. Can you see in there, look, it just gets so caked with mud. And we never quite realised, I'm not experiencing this, so we never quite realised how it actually impacts and compacts around the moving parts. So now when we go in, which would be unheard of in the UK anyway, to actually be spraying underneath, but when you take it in and when you have it washed by the pros, then it always comes out as that you're going to have the underneath washed as well. So now I've got my last pin-up shot of Talik, who's come out to pose for me. She's going to learn to drive this someday.
Oh, I saw a banana, Daddy.
Talik, you look a lot better in this than I do.
I'm going to drive.
Well, you have to adjust the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, electric. Now this takes you forward. Okay. It takes you forward. And this one how's that?
Good.
That suit you better?
Yeah.
And there's beautiful BB in the background.
My
Well,
passenger.
my Raptor review video has been hijacked, and I will leave you here.